So yeah, good morning all, and welcome again to the lecture of 8085, and we were working on the interfacing of the microprocessor programming 8085, right? And we have studied in the last class the interfacing and the working of 8255, that is PPI, Programmable Peripheral Interface. And you have all viewed that uh, video on my YouTube channel. Today we are going to continue further to this session, that is for interfacing. We need to, yeah. So we'll be starting with this interfacing over there and how the input and output organization is there. So let me introduce myself. Okay. Yes. So let me introduce myself. Dr. N.D. Meshram, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Electronics, Sri Mathura Das Mohta College of Science. And uh, today we are going to study about 8085 interfacing and the input and output organization, right? So that was there in the pipeline. So we'll be working on that. So this is the input and output organization of 8085. That is what we need to understand. Now, the basic of input and output organization is we are going to interface 8085 microprocessor with the input output devices as well as memory. So how you are going to connect this microprocessor, how you are going to program that, that is what we are trying to study in this lecture of 8085, right? So we'll proceed that. So we are going to study about the input and output organization of 8085, right? And also the accessing the input and output devices. So the first and the foremost important thing is how you are going to access the input output devices. There should be some of the mechanism where we want that the input and output devices and say the memory on in that case should be accessible to 8085. It should be in the range, it should be in the hands of 8085 to control those input output devices and memory. So how they are going to do that, and how what are the features, what are the parameters that are very essential to understand before we are going to connect 8085 microprocessor to this input output devices and say the memory. So if I guess that you have understood what I mean by input output devices. So input and output devices are the other devices which are going to give some of the data to the microprocessor for processing, and the microprocessor in its turn going to process that data and say give the output or forward the data to a layman or to the human beings for the human understandable format, right? So that is the main job of say the 8085. Now this is the crux, or this is the application of electronics, where we are going to connect 8085 or the microprocessor or say PC in that case to the outside world, which is very essential for why we are studying this microprocessor and microcontrollers in that. So accessing of input output devices, how you are going to access those input output devices, that is what we need to study today. So accessing the input output devices requires some of the parameters that those are very essential for connecting the 8085 with the microprocessor, right? So these are multiple input output devices may be connected to the processor and the memory via a bus. Now what is a bus? You understand, a bus means a bunch of wires from where we are going to give the data, right? So the data to the input output devices or to the memory, and vice versa, from input output devices or memory to the microprocessor for processing, right? So multiple input output devices may be connected. Now those devices which we are expecting to connect with the processor should be connected only through the bus means the bunch of wires from which the data is expected to be transferred, right? And this bus consists of three sets of line, means we require three sets of buses, right? So the three buses or three sets of lines are namely carry the address, to carry the data, and to carry the control signals, right? So first we need to specify the address of that input output device. Unless and until we will have that address of that input and device, how you are going to communicate with that? So we require the address of that particular input and output devices. Secondly, what data we want to give to the input output device, or say we have to take the data from input output device. So that data. And the third one, to control whether we have to write the data or to read the data. That is what the control signal. So we need to require three types of buses: to carry address, to carry the data, and the third one is to control what we are exactly we are going to do, right? So these are there, and in each input output device is assigned an unique address. As I told you that we have to specify a particular code to a particular input output device, or and otherwise what happens, हमने if you want to send a letter to say somebody, and you don't have your the address of that person to whom you want to send the letter, then what happens, the letter will land in some other's address, right? So for that you have to specify a unique address of that input output device. Similarly, as we go on communicating with our say, nowadays it's very simple, because we are communicating with SMS and phones, mobile phones. So we have your unique code, you have your own unique number through which you are going to call to somebody, or somebody might connect you with that unique code. So that particular code is also extracted to the input output devices. We are going to name those input output devices accordingly as per the codes, right? And to access an input output device, the processor places the address on the address line. So it has to place that address. So that unique code which we are saying that we are going to specify that unique code to that particular input output device, that code we have to put it on the address line, and then only the data bus is going to give the control that the processor and that particular input output device is going to communicate with each other, right? So to access an input output device, the processor places the address on the address lines. I will show you that in a block level. So the device recognizes the address and responds to the control signal. So उसके कारण पता चलता है कि हमने किस इनपुट आउटपुट डिवाइस को कम्युनिकेट किया है, और वो पर्टिकुलर डिवाइस को पता होना चाहिए कि अब मुझसे प्रोसेसर बात करना चाहता है, राइट, या कम्युनिकेशन करना चाहता है, तो उसके बाद ही इज गोइंग टू रिस्पॉन्ड. As in the class, when a teacher says that a person, say Ram, how are you? So what I am trying to do is I am specifying the code, that is the Ram over there. So Ram, how are you? Now as soon as I name it Ram, means Ram is the specific person from which I need the output, right? And then only he is going to respond. So that particular input output device should also respond on that, right? Then yes, this is what the block diagram looks like. So everything which we need to control communicate, this is a processor and this is the memory, they are alongside and they are connected via bus. And here we are having devices, input output device 1 2 3 4 up to n. So we can connect n number of input output devices and we can communicate, but the communication is in between the processor and input output devices via the bus, right? So bus means the particular bunch of lines through which we are expecting to communicate. So we are having address lines, we are having the data lines, right? And if you recall what we have studied in, say, the architecture of microprocessor 8085, you'll come to know that we are having two lines. So one is address line and the other one is data line. The address line lower itself is being in the multiplex, right? So the same address lines can be used for data, right? But total we require 16 bit of address line, and for data lines we require only 8 wires. So they are being multiplexed. So at a time, 8 wires can be used for data and 16 lines can be used for address. I get you have understood. So the same can be done over here. So for communicating, we'll be requiring the address as well as the data lines, right? So to carry the address, so that this processor or the input output device should know the to which input output device the processor needs to communicate. So this is the processor and these are the input output devices, and these are being connected by the bus in center, as you are able to see over here. And similarly, the memory is also one of the most important part or to that the processor needs to communicate. Initially, whatever the program is there, about whatever the basic programs are there in the memory are executed first, because as soon as you switch on a microprocessor, you'll able to see that it is showing you spec 85, which implies that there are some internal programs which that processor has or run, and then the it has come to a stable state, that is the spec 85. Simple. In our PCs also, whenever you switch on a PC, what happens, it runs all the program inside it and then it shows a window, right? And we have different icons of different softwares over there, so we need to go through those softwares and run that particular program. But before that, what that processor does, the processor runs all the internal programs. Those are situated in the memory, right? So remember this, the programs are already situated, which are the basic programs which we require for that are being there in the memory. So initially, as soon as you switch on the processor, it has to communicate with the memory, and it is going to communicate through this bus, right? So they there are three types of lines, the three sets of lines that to carry the address, data line, and the control signal. So we are having three sets of lines, right? Three sets of buses. The first one is to carry the address, the second one is to carry the data, and the third one is the status. Status means we require what type of function or what type of steps it has to take, the buses has to take, whether they are going to work as a input devices or whether they are going to work as a output devices. That is what the control signals take care of. So these are how we are going to access the input output devices. Now, some more terms which are very much important to understand how we are going to access input output devices are the input output devices, and in that case the memory may share the same address space. Same address space can be shared, just a simple changes over there. So by that we can switch to input output devices as well as a particular memory location. So input and output devices and memory may share the same address space, and that is called as the memory mapped input output service, right? So this is one of the technique. Memory mapped input output means memory plus input output devices are being using the same address lines. Then any machine instruction that can access memory can be there. Hold it first. So any machine instruction that can access memory can be used to transfer data to or from an input output device. So the machine instruction, if you are remembering, we have studied all the instructions in that. In the last portion of it, we were having the machine instructions, machine codes, right? So out, in, those were the machine instructions, and those machine instructions which can be accessed by the memory. This the same instructions can be used for to transfer data to and from the input output devices, right? So this is there. Then sorry, so this is there. Then yeah, so we require this is the simplest software that we need to require. And the second type of interfacing is input output devices, when input output devices and the memory may have different uh, address spaces. If it is going to use the same address lines, then if it is going to use the same address lines, then the machine instructions can be used by the to transfer or to take the data from the input output devices, right? But there is one more type where we are not going to use the same address lines or same address space. Then the special instructions are used to transfer the data to and from input output devices. So these are two types over there, and there is one more. So input output devices may have to deal with fewer address lines, right? So the address lines which are generally used in the microprocessor can be shared. Some of the lines can be shared by the input output devices. Then input output address lines need not be physically separate from memory address lines, right? So there is actually no requirement of having a different address lines for those things. So input output address lines need not be physically separate from memory address line. So the processor itself is going to give the control of the address lines to the input output device, so that the data can be transferred from the processor to say 8085 and vice versa. So this is there, and in fact address lines may be shared between input output devices and memory with a control signals to indicate whether it is for a memory or for an input output devices. So हम लोग वही same address lines, most of the times you'll try that the same address lines can be used for the memory as well as for the input output devices. Just there is a very small change which can control the actual use of those address lines, whether they are going to use it for the memory, whether we want to communicate with the memory, or we are going to communicate with the input output address. Why these things are very important? Because we are saying that we need to understand that how a processor is going to communicate with the input output devices as well as the memory. So memory is an integral part of that processor. Integral part means it is not inside the microprocessor, it is outside the microprocessor. I've already shown you where the memory is and where is the microprocessor IC placed in the kit, but that it is going to communicate through that, right? So memory is also outside the microprocessor 8085, and input output devices are also outside it. But the address lines which we are going to use in the kit as such are going to be generally same. So if not, then we have to again put a 16 line address bus or address lines for the input output devices, which is which will be very say crude or very say difficult to understand or difficult to know, that the circuitry will become very large and it will be very big. So for to reduce that circuitry, we have the same input and output for memory and input output devices. We are going to share the same address line. Then yeah, so input output devices is connected to the bus using input output interface circuit. Now, these input output circuit interface circuits are very important to be connected by the bus, right? So this is the important part before we are going to connect with the input output device. So address those circuits are the address decoder, control circuit, and data register and the status register. So we are having these circuitry which are very much essential for to say connect to the input output devices, right? So before using this input output devices or the bus, we require these interface circuit, right? So we are requiring mainly four interfacing circuits. The first one is the address decoder, because we need to specify which input output device we need to communicate. The second one is the control circuit, which is going to control both the processor as well as the input output devices and the bus address lines, control lines, all. And the other one is the data register, which is going to keep track of the data to be transferred or to be transferred, yes. And the fourth one is the status register. So all are very important. We'll look one by one. So address decoder decodes the address placed on the address lines, thus enabling the device to recognize its address, right? So address decoder is specifically meant to decode to whom we are going to communicate, right? And to recognize that particular device at a time. So this is the main job of that address decoder. Control circuit, sorry, the data register holds the data which is being transferred to or from the processor, right? So the main job of data register is to store the data, to restore the data for to be transferred. And the status register holds the information necessary for the operation of input output devices. Means what? When I talk about 8255, so we have a control word, right? So that control word is going to specify to whom which hold, yeah, to whom the port A is input port or the output port, port C upper, port C lower, how you're going to use those ports, right? So these are the specific things that are required by the status register. So status register holds information necessary for operation of input and output devices. Data and status registers are connected to the data lines and have unique addresses. So data lines and status registers are same, near about same, and they are connected to the same data lines, and they are also having the same unique addresses. That input output interface circuit coordinates I input output transfers, right? This is going to just coordinate with that. And yes, this is the block diagram of say that particular four units that we are going to communicate with. So we should have this address decoder specifically for the to decode the address of that specific input output device. The second one is the control circuits, which is going to control whether to in which direction the data is going to transfer, whether it is from 8085 to the input device, or say um, from the output device to the 8085 processor. That is being controlled by this control circuits, and data and status registers are just going to keep the restore the data that is to be transferred, whereas status register is going to control the operation of input output devices. So whether the data is to be read from the input output devices, or whether it is to be written in the input output devices, that is that care is taken by this data and status registers. I guess this is you are understanding this. What I need to explain you how we are going to communicate. The basic of this is the crux of this is we are expecting to communicate 8085 microprocessor, or say in many processor in that case, to the outside circuits, might be to the printer, might be to the mouse, keyboard, anything you are going to communicate. But how we actually expected to communicate, we need these types of parameters to be taken care of, right? So we are working on that. So one more important parameter is that the rate of transfer of data from, say, the input output devices must be slower than the speed of the processor. This is very important. Now, for example, if I try to teach you in at a very high speed, right, and just I go on reading the points, but. So what happens? You won't be able to understand. So every time what I need to do is I need to be a little bit lower, at a lower speed, so that all the data or all the communication should be proper, so you should be able to understand. But in this case, the processor, yes, of course, the other devices must be slower for communication, so they should communicate the data in a slower rate as compared to the rate of the processor. So this creates the need for mechanism to synchronize data transfer between them. The synchronization is very important, right? When I say that shall we start the class, and you reply that yes sir, you can start the class, what is it? We are synchronizing ourselves. So unless and until you are ready, how I could start the class, or vice versa. If I am ready, I should be knowing that you are also ready, or you are also free for this class, right? So for that, the synchronization is very important. So at the simultaneous data transfer should be there. So this creates the mechanism for synchronization of data transfer between them. And there are two or three types of synchronization. The one is the program controlled input output device. Now, what is program controlled input output device? In program controlled input output device, the processor repeatedly checks the status flag to achieve the necessary synchronization. Here it is already programmed, so there And the second type is program processor polls the input output device. एक एक को जाके polling करेगा whether you are ready, whether you are ready, whether you are ready or not. So that is called as the processor polls the input output devices. There are two other mechanisms used for synchronization of data transfer between processor and memory. That is the interrupt, and the next one is DMA, that is direct memory access. So these are the points which are very essential for that. I'll just sum up what we have studied today, because I guess the time is over now. So yeah, we have started with this. We are studying interfacing of 8085 with the input output devices, and we are trying to study input output organization of 8085. And initially we have started with this. The main important portion of that was how we are going to access the input output devices. And to access those input output devices, we require some parameters. That is, multiple input output devices can be connected to the processor and memory via bus only. Bus consists of three sets of line. The first one is to carry the address, the other one is to carry the data, and the third one is to carry the control signals. Each input output devices are assigned with an unique address, unique code. To access an input output device, the processor places the address on the address lines. The device recognizes the address and responds to the control signal. So this is simple block diagram of it. And in the lower portion, you are able to see that these are n number of input output devices which are connected through a bus. This is the memory which is connected to the processor through bus only. So to which we are going to communicate is being controlled by this bus. Then we are having input output devices and memory may share the same address. Those are called as memory mapped input output. Any machine instruction that can access memory can be used to transfer the data to or from the input output devices, and it requires a simple software. Whereas the other type of data transfer is when input output device and memory are not going to share the same address line, but they are having a separate, different address space. In that case, special instructions to transfer data to and from the input output devices are required. Input output devices may have to deal with fewer address lines, the same address lines, but they might be small. Input output address lines need not be physically separate, but from memory address lines. In fact, address lines are being shared between input output and memory, right? Input output devices and memory, they are being shared. They are not being taken otherwise. So accessing input output devices, and we require these interface circuit over there, address decoder, control circuit, data register, and status registers. They are like this. Yeah. Then yes, I guess the input output devices must be slower than the speed of the processor. We are having some more types of data transfer, that is program controlled input output device, in which the processor repeatedly monitors or checks the status of to status flags to achieve the necessary synchronization. Then processor pulls the input output devices. There are two more mechanisms for synchronization data transfer between processor and memory. Those are interrupts, and the other one is the direct memory access. The indirect memory access, the processor gives hold of the data line. So I guess this is enough for today, and from tomorrow onwards we will start with these interrupts. So by now, let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining this class, and I'll be uploading this video also on this on my YouTube channel. Go through my YouTube channel and for more videos on 8085. Thank you very much for attending and viewing this video. Have a nice time. Stay home, stay safe, take care. We'll be continuing the same in the next lecture tomorrow at this the same time. Thank you. Bye. Good day. See you soon.